Yo, family, what's good? Welcome back to another daily live stream. I apologize for not being present yesterday. Those who are part of the Discord server know why I was not here on one of the worst days for crypto in a very long time. Ridiculous day yesterday, actually. We saw Bitcoin starting at around 73,000 and correcting all the way down to $62,000. It was an insane correction for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's now currently up 12%. This is a crazy time in the market, and if you've been tuning in to the daily live streams, you were warned. Maybe not to this extent. Not seeing. I think a 60 or 50k Bitcoin was definitely on the card. I hadn't anticipated it happen this quickly and this aggressively, but you were warned that further pullbacks and further corrections were coming. Now we are seeing the markets across the board performing very well. Stocks are currently up 1.74%, nearing that all-time high again. You know, you've got oil, gold, silver, all of that was dumping yesterday. Everything was dumping yesterday, and now you're seeing everything reversing and rallying again. Bitcoin up 12, Ethereum up 13. XRP was one of the worst performers yesterday. Currently up 19. You have Solana up 11. Casper's now currently up 16%. It did just break below this support area that we had drawn out around 2.7. And then earlier today, it came down a little bit further, touching on 2.5 before now making a very strong push back up again. And the rest of the assets across the board are all performing in their own regions. POW, one that we have looked at a bit more recently, is currently up 42%. So today is a good day, but it doesn't feel like that because we've just gone through a bloodbath, to say the least. And as we can see from this post, as of January 14th, so 3 weeks ago, the crypto markets have now raised $1 trillion, which is a lot, especially when you know that crypto's total market cap is barely 3. Right now, it's at 2.4 trillion. We saw the crypto market cap come back significantly from January 14th up here, from 3.25 trillion down to 2.3 trillion. Extreme fear, all the way up at all-time highs. There's so much we've got to get through. I'll try and do my best. This stream is going to be one covering the what happened, the why it happened, the what to expect, the projects, of course Casper, a bit of a Q&A should people require it and want my personal belief on things. And of course, all the information at present that we're talking about, some of it comes from the VIP community, to which you would have been more informed ahead of time of what was happening, when it was happening, if you were a part of that as well. So, before we talk more on that, Bitcoin's currently valued at 70,700. You know, we saw a massive pullback, a crash. This is actually by definition a crash. I said it before, but just to be nitpicky, when people say a crash, the term is very loosely used. Anything from, 0% to 10% is just a correction or a pullback, Anything 10% plus is where you then use the term crash. And then, rug pull, I guess. You want to call it a rug pull, is typically 80-90% crash in a short amount of time. But yesterday we saw Bitcoin come back more than 10%, so it was most definitely a crash. And everything followed in suit. FUD was at all-time high. My Discord community, I haven't had the pleasure of going through all the messages in there, but it did get quite debatey, heated, not sure the right word for it, but it was very active, understandably. And for better or for worse, I like seeing the activity, as long as people remain respectful in it. But Bitcoin's currently back up to 70k, ETH up to 2k, XRP back up to $1.45, Solana up to 86, Casper's back above 3 cents again. So, what happened yesterday? What happened which put that final nail in the coffin, which resulted in $1 trillion being wiped out in the span of 3 weeks in crypto. This has been a very poor start to 2026. And I guess the big question also is, are we in a bear cycle? Well, I'm inclined to say yes, but not a typical bear cycle. And the reason why is because your typical bear cycle will go from the peak of Bitcoin, which was 126 on October, up here. And then you normally see a corrective cycle for a whole year. Go and analyze your previous cycles. We go back to this cycle here back in 2021. November 2021, peak all the way up here. The absolute bottom was formed down here in November, exactly 1 year later. Down 77%. Go back one more cycle, right here. Peak here, December 17th, or December 2017 even. Absolute bottom was December 2018, almost an exact year after as well. 82% pullback. So if we were to follow historical patterns, you would argue that with October 10th being that peak we saw at 126k, we should expect a 70% pullback from all-time highs and therefore start the momentum again in October of 2026 this year. Which does still mean this year could be a good year, depending on where you position yourself. But based on my research, based on what I've looked through, which I still will continue to quote and continue to put more out for people and show my VIPs as well to keep ahead of the game, 2026 will see a reversal and possibly a little bit earlier than typically. You might see it more so towards Q3 as opposed to Q4. But in my personal belief, not financial advice, of course, we will see a reversal this year, but we also are likely to see more downside from here. We actually have some trade setups set in the VIP right now in anticipation for this bounce we're seeing right now, getting in at certain zones and then anticipating further pullbacks coming from here. My current stance is that yesterday, Bitcoin and crypto hit a local bottom. Around, well, even earlier today, you saw Bitcoin touch 60k. So I think the local bottom for Bitcoin was at 60k. That was hit, and now we're seeing it bounce, which is nice. However, I don't believe it's going to be the absolute bottom. I think we'll see a bounce from somewhere between the 78 to possibly 80k, or no, 78 to 85k. I'd anticipate Bitcoin to probably return to somewhere within the zone here in this bounce, which would therefore be about a 30%, 40% bounce from here. And then from that, I expect to see potentially more pullbacks. Now, of course, I'm not a financial advisor, but this is what I'm personally looking into as an investor. So as a result of that, in this bounce, in the assets I'm holding, bar Casper, because I treat Casper as a unique asset that does not need to be, pushing capital in and out, just DCAing pretty much for me, and trading it, of course, but just DCAing it. Every other of my holdings, pretty much, I'm planning to find this potential exit zone, and then I'm going to be looking in for my next entry, which I mentioned some of them in my VIP already, what assets I'm looking into. Of course, the big caps will perform well. Your Solanas, your ETH, your Bitcoins will come back. There are some other assets I think also could do well, like Hyperliquid. I'm not necessarily bullish on these assets, but I see their rally potential and their ROI potential, so I'm looking into them. And there's some other ones as well, of course, which you can find out all of those picks that I've looked into and highlighted in the VIP. But as it stands right now, I think we're seeing a small bounce, which is nice. I think you can see this sort of momentum potentially continue. You won't see it necessarily just go up straight from here. You might see ups and downs, pullbacks and pumps back up to the zone we highlighted of 78 to 85k, which I'll draw a box for it right now. And then we'll probably start seeing further headwinds and pullbacks coming. So this is currently the zone that I'm anticipating we would see Bitcoin return to before we see continued pullbacks. So that is my current stance on the market. What happened? Why did the market crash so significantly? Well, based on my interpretation, it was a number of factors. The most obvious factor is continued unrelenting negative headlines and headwinds. Eventually, inevitably, investors just got sick and tired of it and had enough. We had seen tariff headline after geopolitical uncertainty headline after regulatory uncertainty headline. It just repeatedly, since the beginning of this year, and even then pretty much all of 2025 as well, we have seen nothing but very lackluster in terms of good news, or not enough good news to outweigh the bad news. As a result, investors just pulled the plug. And this is also driven by other factors as well. This is one thing I put into my VIP when it happened yesterday. The United States, today there should have been the non-farm payroll, but because of the government shutdown last weekend, that's been delayed. But there was still some other reports that came out. For example, as of January, the highest number of job cuts since 2009 was released. This is just after the financial crisis, the housing bubble, one of the worst crashes in history. So because of this reading, because investors saw the US job cut a total of 108,000 jobs in January, which is the highest since the financial crisis, the common factor, the common denominator there, are people thinking, oh, we must be in a recession then, because that is ultimately what this meant. We're in a recession. Now, are we in a recession? It's really hard to properly admit or deny that until there's enough evidence of such. And there is a lot of evidence of this, but this layoff, these job cuts, it's also being massively fueled by the revolution and increasing use case of artificial intelligence, of AI, where institutions are able to just cut people to save costs, to utilize AI to do the work for them. So that's why when you look at the ISM, when the ISM came through recently, which printed one of the best we have seen since 2022, this is great to see. The ISM takes in a number of readings, including unemployment, and unemployment still was below 50. Unemployment still said around, I think unemployment was around the 47, 48 still. So unemployment is still bad in the US, but the other factors is what helped the ISM push above 50. Like businesses who are buying a lot of their product, from my interpretation, to basically front run whatever tariffs might end up costing them. So manufacturing went up in that regard as well. And there are many other factors as well. So because of this reading here, that's one of the key readings that I think caused investors to get very, very panicky in the interpretation that we are in a recession and the markets are going to collapse because no one has any money, there's no jobs about, which is valid, very, very valid. There also are other factors as well, like the growing geopolitical tensions between the United States and Iran. We have heard very recently now, apparently, there's been a message sent out by the US to US citizens in Iran, telling them to evacuate Iran as soon as possible, which does not spell reassuring news either when you hear that. I have to clarify this for those who are watching. I'm not saying that what America's doing is right or wrong. That is not the premise. I'm staying very neutral on that front for obvious reasons. But what I am highlighting is that note, that message alone is not going to make financial markets investors optimistic for what's to come. War's not good for risk on assets. It's good for oil. It's good for military stocks. It's not good for your other everything else. Iran refused to end a nuclear enrichment talk, apparently, according to the Wall Street Journal as well. So I'll see if this actually is true. Yes, so it looks like it was true. So ultimately, the markets right now are still being driven by geopolitical tensions. And the three key biggest sources of information that's come out to result in this market volatility has been unemployment, getting drastically out of control now to the point where we're in recessionary territory, more geopolitical tension between the United States and Iran, and then also the new Fed chair, Kevin Walsh. Because Kevin Walsh has a history of being typically very, very hawkish. And there's an overarching belief within investors and economists that he's going to align with Trump in getting interest rates down, but unfortunately the US economy is not in a stable enough spot. Therefore, while he will cut interest rates where he can, he will reissue quantitative tightening again, which has just been ended in December. So off the back of those three main key headlines, amongst some other things as well, which every other possible reason and catalyst we need to keep into account, I've also showcased to my VIP. I showcased this kind of briefly on stream, where I showcased, all this documentation that we posted recently, just before the crash actually, and what we need to take into account and what economists were predicting and saying right now, which you can find out more and stay in line and ahead of the markets and what's happening in the VIP. Because we had predicted, if you also tune into the roundtables, those who are members of YouTube would have saw the previous week's one, even then last week's one, we had anticipated further pullbacks were coming. So this is not necessarily too shocking to us. It's shocking to see how bad it came back. How 60k Bitcoin is a shock, but it's a shock by how quickly it happened. Not because we saw it happen, because that was, in our belief, an inevitable consequence of what was happening right now. There's too much uncertainty. Investors don't have the money right now. These markets aren't in a position right now to pump. Will that stay the way forever? No. We are also seeing some issues, which I meant to preload this and I did not. We spoke about continued headwinds with the market structure bill. I'll see if I can find it real quickly. But there are still some more issues. Oh, here it is, yeah. Crypto legislation deferred into spring. Senator Lammers says John Toon will reserve Senate floor. Time for the market structure bill happening later this spring. It's deferred, not dropped. We are still seeing a lot of headwinds, a lot of butting of heads, a lack of movement with the crypto legislation, the Clarity Act, which is ultimately adding further pressure to the markets, because we have seen through our research how impactful, how important regulations are for getting Wall Street money in this space. They need regulation, they need clarity to be able to get involved. And there's also now being complications brought up from banks regarding the Genius bill, whether they're right or wrong in that matter. They're still bringing out complication about it right now. And they're also not budging at all in regard to certain means regarding stablecoin yields with the Clarity Act as well. So that's the doom and gloom part of what's happening right now. 1 trillion wiped out in 3 weeks in crypto. What's been the cause for it? Potential recession in job market, further geopolitical tension between US and Iran, which hasn't and that's also a big reason why I think we do see a bounce from here, but we still probably see more downside, because while these uncertainties and these lingering tensions still remain, it's not going to be a good thing for investors at all. Not to mention the midterms are coming up as well, which will also add further tension in regards to how the market's going to play out, because there are understandably a lot of investors who are like on the fence about whether it be beneficial for Trump to win or Republicans to win the midterms, or the Democrats, therefore taking control of the House. So that is what we've got to keep in mind right now. So I expect the next few months at this point to have a lot of volatility, potentially more headwinds, some pumps and dumps, but ultimately I think we're in some more pain, which is why me and my VIP were looking at trades, we're setting up some short options in anticipation for these further pullbacks. And then I still believe that going into this year, still later on this year, second half, maybe more towards Q3, end of Q3, maybe even Q4, which would probably put it around the year mark actually if we get to Q4 time. But I think we do see the recovery, and this is where people make their money. I have met so many people, and equally I had friends of mine who got into Solana in the last cycle down here. $8 Solana, even $20 Solana, they got in down here. After that 90%, 95% pullback from all-time highs, they got in down here. And then it returned to $280, almost $300. There are going to be a number of projects that will perform in a similar manner, in my belief. And the goal of us right now is to continue talking about the developments of the crypto space, what's happening in the news, what to expect, the general analysis as always, but also to analyze what projects will make that comeback when the markets are prepared for it. There are a number of them, and we've got a lot already jotted down and are waiting for in the VIP. So if you want to see that playbook, know what assets we're looking into. If you've got assets you think also might be good, or you want to bring that to our attention, by all means let us know. But you can find out more, the assets, the trade alerts, the market analysis, getting ahead of the markets, and much more VIP documentation, all in the VIP. Get ahead of the market, prepare for when the market reverses, because when it does reverse, we are going to ride that wave all the way to the top, because we're going to get involved in these generational entry levels in crypto right now. Of course, one of our biggest beliefs, or the asset's going to perform the best when the market reverse, is kaspa. And I will be talking about kaspa right now. Before I do though, Greg, brother, welcome back, my man. You're doing very, very well. Thank you very much for the kind words over the last few days. Welcome back as well, Gosu, and you to Kryptoni, A Printing. It is doing much better right now. I think it'll be short-lived. Not sure how long this will go on for, but I do anticipate a bit of a recovery around this zone possibly, and then we'll see more pullbacks. Of course, not financial advice. We'll play it by ear and see how it goes. And I'll continue to provide insight and updates as frequently as I can do, especially to my VIP community. Welcome back, Nathan. You're doing very, very well, my man. I just got in at 0.026, so 2.6 cents kaspa. Massive, massive scoop up right there, brother. Very, very big. I think you pretty much exactly called the bottom there, which is fantastic news there. I'm positive on the kaspa trade for the first time in 2 years. It's a trade you got into. Okay, well, I mean, I'm not sure what your leverage is, if you do leverage trading or not right now, but you're looking at 2.6, so around here. You're currently up about 20%, which is fantastic. Of course, not including leverage. I do think we can see possibly some more momentum going up. You might see capital return above the 3.5. Best case scenario, I think we see capital return to 4 again. I'm not confident right now because it does depend on Bitcoin. If capital returns to 4 and Bitcoin's still rallying upwards, then capital will push more so as well. But otherwise, then I think we'll see capital make a bit of a move. And then we'll probably see it meet resistance and come back down following Bitcoin and the market. And you see the FUD getting louder. But look at this extreme fear right now. This is the time where everyone's panicking. But I think the reversal will be soon enough. Well, the trend is your friend until the end of the trend, and no longer your friend until you agree with it and if you're friends again. Yeah, wise words there, honestly. And welcome back, Falco, brother. You're doing very, very well, my man. Now, everyone else watching as well, welcome back, because you're doing very well this weekend and are ready to get into the kaspa related content right now. We are seeing a big liquidation in crypto. Obviously, things aren't looking the best, despite the great momentum in the market today. Still feels like licking your wounds from what happened yesterday, but we have got a lot of reassuring posts and bullish posts, in my belief, for kaspa. The KRI posted this, which I think is very important to take in, which is, this is where long-term thinking, planning, and building will yield the highest returns for everyone, including society. When the venture capitals are running scared and there's blood in the streets, to the victors go the spoils. Right now, because crypto's dumping, those who have the capital, the whales, the VCs, everyone, they're panicking, they're emotional, they're panic selling, they're paper hands. This is where building matters, having the long-term vision. If we were to have a look at Kaspalytics, and we look at the addresses right now who are holding kaspa in active supply, 3 months, still seemingly rallying, although I don't think it's taken into account. I think this is a little bit, a few days delay, maybe 2 days delay, so you might see a bit of a pullback tomorrow. But 3 months not moved, 6 months not moved, 1 year's not moved, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years still going up. People who are holding kaspa are holding kaspa despite the price right now. So I'd argue a lot of the paper hands have already been paper handed. They're gone. And this is what matters. For kaspa, the global backbone of decentralization, live long and prosper. Spotlight, of course, KRI. They have a lot of Star Trek fans in there, and I love it for them. But yes, while these projects are acting very, very volatile, what matters more so is those who are building and continuing to build. Interestingly as well, we saw this post, which seems to suggest that Marathon are starting to liquidate some Bitcoin holdings, which is crazy to see. Yet, if you have a look at kaspa Stream, and we have a look at Marathon's wallet address, we can see that I think they're still stacking kaspa, or still mining kaspa, I should say. That's KuCoin, that's Kraken, there's Mao, yeah, last day, 51. So they're still mining kaspa, they're not offsetting any kaspa right now, Marathon. So while they sold a lot from June, July 2024 to 2025, since 2025, I don't think they have sold anything. Yeah, they haven't sold anything. Now, granted, this I haven't double checked, but they may have been sent this kaspa It may be sent as Casper right now. I'm not seeing any of these saying block rewards, so I think it's transfers from another wallet, so people are sending them Casper maybe. But they're not sending anything right now. So while Marathon are selling their Bitcoin, they're not selling any of their Casper right now, which can be perceived as maybe a vote of confidence. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. And we also got this other post as well, before we get into the actual really big Casper updates, which is a summary of what Hans said recently. Which, thank you for the summary. If this is truthful in the summary from Ash X Casper, because I've literally been so preoccupied the last day or two with family that I've not had a chance to really look into this properly. But in the way he summarized this, Hans explained why to use Casper if you're building for billions of transactions, why it's worth using Casper over anything else. His example was you need to know if your girlfriend or your significant other will be late for dinner. The first option is to call them every single minute, asking them, are you stuck in traffic? Are you going to be here? Yada, yada, yada. Which therefore means every minute you're calling them 59 times and it's going to be annoying. And that is just frustrating. The second option is they call you with only if something unexpected happens. So in the instance where instead of you calling them every minute, the other person says, I called you if there is a problem. And Casper, there's a second option, but here's the twist. When they do call, it doesn't say, I turn left, I turn right, user details. It just tells you the exact things you need to know. That one makes Casper's bridge smart. Other crypto forces developers to track every tiny blockchain detail. Casper bridges just tell developers, here's the finalized information. So they cut out the complete middleman jargon, which makes it so much easier, streamlined, and simple. Making Casper a lot more efficient for worldwide adoption as well. Now that's just a little bit of a rundown on why Casper's bridge is so important, but here's some really, really big updates. This first update is huge. What was once a draft is now merged and staged for the next Casper hard fork, which we're under the interpretation that will be coming out this year, in the next few months. KIP, Casper Improvement Proposal 16. We spoke about this in the past. Why it's so big. It allows two key features, covenants and ZKPs. The ZK opcodes are just around the corner. The KIP 16 PR, which is about the implementation of ZK proof verification opcodes, was merged yesterday. This enables on-chain verification of cryptographic proofs, providing the foundation for decentralized layer 2 solutions and verifiable off-chain computation on Casper. Why is this big news, besides just that? I've already explained this. I made a video on this about 4 days ago, I believe, give or take, 3 days ago, where I did a bit of a deep dive into a document from Coinbase. Now, you may not trust Coinbase, and I wouldn't blame you for not trusting them. They're a crypto exchange, and all crypto exchanges right now are within question. But the reason why I chose to take what Coinbase said there so seriously is because they are more than just an exchange now. They've got connections to BlackRock. They are part of the negotiation and discussions and policies regarding crypto legislation in America. So for me, what they say holds a lot of weight. And you can get access to the full document and more in the VIP, of course. This 2026 Crypto Market Outlook Coinbase Institutional. In this 70+ page document, one of the things I highlighted that was a key trend right now for institutions is the demand for privacy. Privacy has remained an enduring pillar of the crypto movement. That's why you saw Monero and Zcash perform so well in the last quarter of 2025. That's why you saw Cantor perform very well more recently as well, because it has privacy features. Technologies like ZKP, zero knowledge proofs, specifically ZK Snark and Starks, and fully homomorphic encryptions. So ZKPs are becoming the cornerstone of the evolution for privacy, what institutions demand so much right now. That is what makes this incoming hard fork so significant. Because what institutions literally are frothing over, what they're all getting so giddy about, is this sort of technology. ZKPs allow for privacy features, which, Casper being decentralized, truly decentralized as well, it has even more privacy features than other chains do. And of course, the technology to handle significant cheap cost as well. So this is very, very, very big news. Coinbase recently confirmed Casper is building the future with ZKPs. This is exactly why I say ZKPs are so important, why what Casper's building, this RTD flywheel. While people are worried that Casper's going to be too late, look at the market right now. Look at the market right now. Everything's collapsing. Nothing has a clear agenda, a clear sign. Nothing is confirmed to be surviving or dying right now, unless you're Bitcoin and Ethereum, I guess. Everything right now is being put to question whether they can handle real world adoption, whether they are, and if they can't, do they have another intrinsic value? Bitcoin can't handle real world adoption, but it can be used to store value. Ether's interoperable, so it has that element to it, but it can't really handle that. That's why you saw Vitalik Buterin recently talk about kind of shifting their business model to incorporate features that seem to correlate or be similar to the likes of Casper's, so it can scale properly to bring the value back to the layer 1 as opposed to layer 2's being responsible for the scalability and therefore fragmenting the whole ecosystem. This is what's so important right now. And people who are understandably worried about the security budget for Casper, which is valid, Michael Sutton made this post here saying we should look through the notes of Fresh Air, who aims to hopefully introduce a mechanism in the upcoming Covenant++ hard fork, this same hard fork we're talking about here. The goal will be to establish a truthful fee market even during the phase prior to capacity saturation. The long and short of what these GitHubs here, which you can look through for yourself, is basically changing the way that the security budget works, as opposed to it being for scarcity, which is, for mining Casper. Instead of being from scarcity, it would be a case of scarcity and congestion fees to be a case of the volume and utility driven fees, which is ultimately how it should be in the first place. So the more use case Casper gets, if it's being used as a gas fee with stablecoins or in utility throughout the ecosystem, that's what's going to bring value to Casper and therefore subsidizing the security budget. Not just block reward going down more like Bitcoins. It actually will have some intrinsic value. That is what the proposal is. So that's also important. This hard fork for Casper will be coming through hopefully in the next few months, although we're still waiting for an actual timeline. So we've heard loose sayings from the core devs like Michael Sutton that we should hopefully be seeing it before the end of Q2. But until we see an actual timeline, we don't know yet. We just know right now that the developers are building a lot. vProgs, native assets, Dagnite, Python, ZKP, Covenants, all of this right now. They're building so much. Covenants, apparently, there'll be a mini update, a teaser. They're going to restart the testnet 12 on Sunday. The amount of content and significant developments coming with it is staggering. Microsoft's going to do its best to write about it in length and in simple language in the coming days. Keywords, covenant IDs, sequence, commit, and base covenants, ZK precompiles, and Silverscript. These are the main features coming in this incoming reset. And this will eventually go into a hard fork with Casper, hopefully coinciding with Dagnite, although that might be a little bit later, but there's so much still to come in regards to developments. And of course, I'm very, very deeply involved in the Casper community, so I know the developments a lot more so, but even on a kind of a surface level, I don't know any other community that is building as much as Casper's building right now. Granted, we've got a lot of catching up to do. And you've got a lot to prove, considering that institutions don't seemingly care that much, evidently, about proof of work. They just want to have an ecosystem they can use that is going to actually function the way they want it to function and have privacy features, of course, which is why CC is doing so well. Is why people consider Quant for your CBDC elements, why Ondu with the tokenization elements, why they're performing so well. Casper's got a lot to prove, and with these updates coming through, with IGRA's mainnet also not far off now either, the Galleon testnet mainnet is now live. We are so close now to have a full mainnet. So this is huge. We're less than 2 months away from having IGRA's layer 2, therefore seeing stablecoins on top of Casper. coinciding with all the other developments as well coming through as well. We are at a definitive inflection point, I would say, with Caspa's development and potentially adoption. And you can see this sort of stuff happening in the bear market. Think about the market starts to return. You see KRI, more projects coming out, maybe Marathon mining more adoption coming back into it. You see Caspa to start to really, really rally up from there. I am still under the belief, of course, with my personal beliefs, not financial advice. I'm under the belief that when the market returns, Caspa will be one of, if not the strongest performer. Because what institutions demand more so than anything, as we've looked through our documentation, I'll try and find one while talking. What institutions demand more than anything is infrastructure that can supersede regulatory hurdles, that is got fast finality, that is cheap, that is quick, and that can help that can provide proof that it serves real economic needs. So this is Dow Jones, who have survived the Great Depression, 2 World Wars, and the 2008 financial crisis. So they are battle tested. They are the survival guide. And Dow Jones talk about no speculation, markets now demand accountability, proof, evidence, demonstration that crypto serves real economic needs. Caspa's got GeoSeal, Kaspa Kai, Kaspa KRI. They're developing projects like GeoSeal, which is a cryptographic proof or place proof of existence for people, assets, and key events anchored immutably on Caspa. That's what institutions want. You got Walkcore allowing banks to use Caspa's 10 bps speed while staying 100% compliant with local laws, bridging that regulatory hurdle. Winning companies will be able to pass a stress test. It's funny how they mention this, 16th of January, and we're going through the stress test right here and now, 2-3 weeks later. Winning companies will be able to pass a stress test for sustainability, regulatory compliance, and financial strength. But right here in the making about all this happening, going a little bit further as well, because I've got more documents. IEA, International Energy Agency, talking about how this ongoing geopolitical uncertainty combined with the renewed volatility in energy markets has resulted in energy security becoming a top priority once again. What are DRI trying to do with Caspa right now? I move on. You've got another one, which comes here from Baker McKenzie, who talks about the rise in data centers, sustainable data centers, and how 2026 will reward those that can transform legal and regulatory challenges into efficiencies. Warp Core. That's talking about Warp Core, effectively, what Kaspa Kai is doing with them. Data center is DRI. So what I am seeing through all of my institutional documentation is we're going to see more headwinds in 2026, which I've been very transparent about. I haven't said we're going to the moon. I've been saying we're going to see more headwinds. Expect more pain. That's just, of course, it's not financial advice. Do your own research. But all my research has told me we're going to see more pain. But when we find that bottom, which will come through, in my belief, this year, off the back of regulatory frameworks coming out, all that stuff as well, we're going to end up seeing assets that are fitting the institutional agenda perform the best. And Caspa with KRI and what's being built and all this stuff here, these fit the institutional agenda, what they're looking for. They're looking for ZKP. They're looking for what assets like protocols that can bridge regulatory hurdles. This is literally what's being built right now, all within Caspa. And the proof of concept element that's going to prove that Caspa can do that comes through IGRA Labs and comes through Casplex, the layer 2s. And that has stablecoins aboard as well. I think Caspa's going to do very, very well when the markets return. Yeah, this whole post of IGRA, which we spoke about briefly, is already available in my Discord community, which basically just spoke about IGRA on EVM finality right now. Which just basically kind of made a comparison in regards to the biggest challenges you face when importing Ethereum virtual machine, and why it's so important. Because they are very, very different protocols, of course. So you have to understand why it's crucial for Caspa. Of course, I'm not going to talk about all on stream. It's not that long of a post, but I will relink it again in my community, my Discord server. So you can join the free Discord server. Links are down below in the description. Be a part of the community of people who are actively trying to navigate this market together, learn more, share information together, their own personal stories, or just help out. Be it my mods, be it people in general who are just trying to do their best to learn more. You can tune and learn more into the Discord community there. And if you want to be even more locked in, get ahead of the markets, get access to documentation like this, to trade alerts, to forward-looking market analysis, to documentation that I haven't also made public that gave us predictions of what's going to happen. Check out the VIP. Join right now. You get 7-day free access as well, and much more. Again, all links are down below in the description. And you can get a 1-month free trial if you sign up through BYDFI and follow steps in the physical server as well. But Igra's also cooking right now. I'm hoping to hear more from them very, very shortly. Maybe we'll get them on the Blockchain Banter show soon. Who knows? That would be great if we could get an insight into what's happening right now. In other news, you've also heard apparently Kaspa CEO was invited on Israel's economic TV channel to talk about Kaspa, which in itself is good exposure and is good. But of course, there is that negative connotation about it being on Israel's channel, and therefore it's an Israeli coin. Kaspa's not an Israeli coin, it's decentralized. But I still think in itself it is quite important to see that exposure come into Kaspa. We spoke about that one already, and then we also got this update here from 5BB55B, which talks about apparently something very, very big is coming to KYC 20 as well, a new milestone, which we'll see what happens when it happens. I'm not entirely sure what it is. I'm seeing the blacklist, burn list, send, channel deployments. This stuff I think is it correlates to stablecoins, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure when we spoke about this a year back, these blacklist, burn, channels, this sort of stuff. This stuff is it correlates to KYC 20 being motivated with stablecoins. So if that's the case, therefore, that could be a big thing for KYC 20s. We'll see what happens with that when the time comes, though. Got some more questions real quickly here. Double D, welcome back, my man, who's doing very, very well. Crypto Dad, welcome back. Do you know if there's any news on making cash quantum safe? Right now, there's been a growing consensus, if you will, regarding quantum threats. And frankly, every project right now is making efforts to make themselves quantum secure. I don't think any project has actually cracked that just yet. And right now, I'm sure there will be a stage where that happens, but that's not Kaspa's main concern right now. Right now, the main concerns is all this. Where is it? Oh, all this stuff here is what they look at. All the stuff they're trying to build right now. I'm sure quantum security comes in that list, but probably a bit further down right now. They've got at least like 10 or so different channels open trying to do an upgrade for Dagnite, for VPOGs, for Covenants, for ZKPs, for Rust, for Python. All this sort of stuff is going to help Kaspa get that increased adoption. And then, I mean, it's already extremely secure. The quantum security will come, I'm sure. I'll see if I can reach out and see if I find out anyone in the call who might be considering it at some point. Welcome back, LB on the check-in. You're doing very well, my man. Chris says, you can tell the whole market is dead right now. Nobody is even here. Yeah, well, I don't blame. I'm sure they would have been here yesterday if I had not been preoccupied yesterday. I'm sure we would have seen people tune in yesterday when the market was crashing because they want to find out what happened. People have got given their stories now, and now we're seeing a recovery, but people don't care. It's going to be like that for a while. I'm expecting that, but the OGs here will continue to, write their names to history, keep on learning, get ahead of the game. When we're on the run up, people start joining back in again, wondering what's happening, and we would have been prepared for what's going to come. Especially as in the VIP of mine, who will be even more prepared of when the markets will move and what action we should be taking and what assets we should hopefully be looking into as well for when the market recovers as well. Welcome back, Wiley, my man. I didn't mean to upset you on the last stream QC. If I was upset, I don't remember that, but I appreciate the apology. I know TA isn't everything. Just wanted to point out if I had a YouTube stream. Oh, right, the Archie thing. Yes. Okay. To be fair, I probably did hold on to that point a bit too much. No, I wasn't upset at all. Not in the slightest, actually. I appreciate your apology either way, but no, it was honestly, brother, thank you very much for the comment either way. I have no qualms against what you said. Neither Crypto Archie either. I think both of you two are doing as you do, and you're doing well in what you're doing, and TA is important. I won't discredit TA is important, but at the same time, we can honestly understand that TA is not everything, because technical analysis didn't predict that Bitcoin would crash and hold at 60k. Not in the way it did. Bitcoin crashed. No one anticipated with TA that Bitcoin would crash yesterday 12, 13, 14+%. Technical analysis did not prove that. What proved that is fundamental news. That's what helps drive markets. And then TA gives you zones of where the market and the price should hopefully find support. That's how I look at technical analysis, as an additive indicator to help when you're analyzing when the market's going to move and your entry zones. But yeah, I think I think we are going to see more headwinds. We're seeing some good movement right now, and I think we'll might see that continue for a little bit, but I think we're going to see headwinds come back in the next, short term, and then we'll find a bottom. We've got a local bottom right now. We'll find a new bottom, I'm sure, soon enough, and then we'll start talking about where the entries are. I'm going to talk about it this weekend, actually, with my VIPs, and actually, this is the second week again. So those who are part of the YouTube members, or so part of the YouTube membership on this channel, you will also get access to this week's executive roundtable. So you can tune into that when it's reposted on YouTube, or you can tune in live in the VIP and get access to all the information we post in there as well, the trade alerts, and much more. The gains we're making in there right now, despite the market conditions. Come learn more in there. It's pretty dead. Yeah, it's pretty dead. But all the OGs are here, and that's what matters. And people will come back later on. There's no doubt about it. Welcome back, Geek. You did very, very well. And it's all good at Crypto, man. Crypto Dad, you did very well, man. Good to have you here, my man. Now, with that being said, that actually does conclude today's live stream. Somehow got through that quite quickly, surprisingly. Spoke about kind of what happened to the markets, what to expect going forward. And also all the big news coming to Caspa, why we should still be excited for what's to come, and the relevant documentation that supports why Caspa is still in a very strong spot. If you want to find out more in regards to just general analysis of the markets, join the free Discord server and even join the VIP, and you'll be even more up to date on potential market movements and whatnot, as well as a portfolio or multiple documentation for portfolios and assets we're looking into when the markets recover. But with that being said, family, there will be a stream tomorrow. Tomorrow's stream will probably be a lot earlier. I'm planning for it to be, I think it's 5 p.m. UK time, which would be 3 hours earlier than usual. Oh, no, it might be 4 p.m. UK time. I have to double check on that, actually. But I'll make an announcement in my Discord community beforehand, and I'll be going live then. This is all planned. They know the Clarity Act is going to pass. Institutions want the best entry possible. Trump's going to want to win the midterm. If he's not, he's going to get impeached. Q2 to Q3 is Valhalla. It's not a bad theory, LB, and I have similar theories myself. I think it's not impossible for that to happen, because think about it, you've got Vanguard, you've got BlackRock, you've got JP Morgan, you've got all the other massive institutions right now who are actively getting involved in crypto. But they got in, some of them, BlackRock got in at 30k Bitcoin or 40k Bitcoin. Everyone else got in around 70, 80, 90, 100, 120k Bitcoin. Now you're looking at 70k Bitcoin again, and you saw 60k earlier. There's no doubt they're getting a better entry for when the markets turn. So I definitely think that's a possibility. When the market turns is the question, because yes, Trump needs to win the midterms, 100%. Will he be able to do it or not? Really depends on everything else. He might, for his own sake, have to stop this sort of stuff here. Again, I'm not here to say that this is right or wrong of him to do so, but every time he does, it causes negative press, and he can't have that if he wants to win the midterms. So he might end up being very quiet through the midterms and just focusing on pumping the economy again. We'll have to wait and see, of course. Given time, I'm about to send something in Discord about quantum resistance. I do. Okay. Right. Well, do I read out on the stream, or do I just direct people to the? I'll read out on the stream. Why not? This is from. So before we wrap up today's stream, this is from Kryptoni here about the quantum resilience element and how Caspa doesn't solve quantum risk the way people usually think. It reduces the exposure window. That distinction matters. I'll walk this cleanly, no hype. The core problem: quantum plus crypto. Quantum computers don't magically crack everything. They mainly threaten elliptic curve signatures only after the public key is revealed. They do not threaten hash function in any realistic time frame. Raw entropy. So the real risk is the time between public key exposure and funds moving. That's what quantum really threatens. But what Caspa actually does is different. The architecture doesn't rely on one silver bullet. It compresses risk in multiple layers. So Caspa, of course, 10 bps, 1 to 3 second practical finality, which therefore means that a quantum attacker would need to see a transaction, the public key exposed, derive the private key, inject a conflicting transaction, win the race before the finality. So in that first section alone, what Kryptoni is highlighting is, with quantum resistance, Caspa's architecture is naturally already resilient to quantum technology, quantum threat, because it's so quick that the use of quantum will not be able to do it quick enough effectively. On Bitcoin, it's easy, but you've got minutes to do it. On most chains, it's quite easy. On Casper, it's so quick, it's much harder. Casper shrinks the attack window to near zero. You've got the block parallelism. On traditional chains, you've got one tip, one canonical reorg path, a clean target for attack time. Casper's block DAG means you've got multiple blocks accepted in parallel, which means it's hard to really find that right attack vector. No long reorg chains, no single re-entry point or rewrite point. For an attacker, this means it can't just replace the last block, it must outcompute the entire DAG flow. This raises a complexity of any attack, active attack, quantum or not. And then proof of work here. Quantum computers don't magically break proof of work. At best, it gives quadratic speedups that apply to everyone. Casper remains permissionless, minor distributed, no validator set to the compromise, no stake keys to steal. This avoids the real quantum nightmare. Centralized validator comprises proof of stake chains. We've got more to go, but we love it. Adjust hygiene. Fast UX, human layer matters. Casper speed encourages one-time addresses, fast spends, frequent key rotations. It's important because quantum attacks require exposed public keys. Casper users naturally expose them for a very short duration. It's a behavioral defense enabled by protocol speed. And the final part here, upgrade path is clean, future-proof. Casper design, no smart contract bagged on the layer 1. Simple UTXO model, clean signature layer. This makes easy to swap in post-quantum signatures layers without breaking the ledger or needing emergency forks. Many chains cannot do this cleanly. What Casper does not claim is quantum immunity today. Post-quantum signatures already live. What it does claim is quantum attacks become impractical because the window is too small and the system is too parallel. It's a real mitigation, not marketing. The clean summary, Casper mitigates quantum risk by shrinking public key exposure windows to seconds, limiting long reorg targets via block DAG, avoiding proof of stake validator key concentration, encouraging rapid key rotation through fast UTX or UX, and keeping a clean upgrade path for PQ crypto. It doesn't beat quantum with magic, it starves the attack of time, structure, and leverage. That's the right way to think about it. So that is the summary from Cryptony, and it is a very logical one, and lays out a very, very clear step-by-step in regards to why Casper does have that protection, if you will, from quantum. It's not, it's sort of a bullet by any means. Casper not claimed to be quantum resistant, but because Casper has already got the architecture there that's such a small window, it makes it very, very difficult for anyone to utilize quantum to actually actively attack Casper. Which is only done because Casper's got fast finality and it's got block DAG effectively, amongst other things as well. So it's already stronger than most chains, if not all chains, because it's got the block DAG element to it. But yeah, shout out to Cryptony for that. Absolutely legendary, man. KI 13 plus months away, Roy said, with you on podcast, VPOGs, and a year. How does Casper survive? I think it does because of the incoming covenants. The KI is 30 months away from, like the likes of Warp Core, they said, yes. But they have got stuff in Sandbox, which they're utilizing with institutions, and they are very, very pleased about what they're seeing and want to use it more so. You're seeing all this stuff being built right now. You're going to see IGRA come out that will help subsidize the network soon enough as well. You're going to see a continual, downtrend throughout the next few weeks, I'm sure, months, where everything's going to be put into question. I think Casper survives. I think KI is going to be a big part to help adoption and price when the time comes, but I think Casper survives. When you look at every project in this space, every project right now is in a very similar spot. And just to make the question of, if you want to talk about price and comparison, Solana came down 95% in the last cycle. 95%. Everyone said it was dead. And then it made one of the most historical recoveries and comebacks ever. I don't see why Casper cannot do the same thing given the technology it has. And the fact that you still got people who are actively still holding this asset. They're not selling at all. The developments coming out for Casper will be coming out soon. VPOGs, we don't know. We've heard from the likes of Crypto Aspect, from Michael Sutton, from Hans, that an MVP for VPOG should be coming out sometime near summertime, I believe, this year, hopefully. We should see a hard fork around a similar time as well. If that's the case, then you'll start seeing the other projects that KRI have connect with these VPOGs and therefore start coming public as well. And probably going live. Warp Course in Sandbox environment, the KRI have GeoSeal live. They confirm that. KRI already have projects that are live and being used. While Warp Core still got some time away, 13 months as you are quoting, when my Twitter wants to load. They have multiple other projects right now, two actually, I could say with confidence, that are live. One is Agent Flow, which is the first framework for optimal market making on Casper utilizing the block DAG. It's basically Agent Flow, the way I could put it, is basically a better Binance. That's basically what this Agent Flow is meant to be, in my belief. So you've got Agent Flow here. That's already live with their institutional partners. And they got GeoSeal that's already live. Proof of place, proof of existence, things that are crucially important to these institutions. As Dow Jones highlighted, markets demand accountability, proof, and demonstrations that crypto serves real financial economic needs. That's what GeoSeal does. So these are already live. Warp Core's not live yet, it's in sandbox environment, but I'll be going live hopefully soon enough. We'll have to wait and see though. They say next year, but some stuff is already live. You'll see more coming out this year, I'm sure as well. Casper is endgame, Casper's unkillable, Casper obeys entropy. Vote Tony for Casper Ambassador. Honestly, yeah. Not a bad shout there at all. But now with that being said, family, after that nice little wrap up and, Coney. Coney is something else. Coney is not out yet. That's Coney. Casper, orbital node in space. That's Coney. This is GeoSeal. This is something else. But it's really big. And that's already live. We've heard that confirmation already. The post about KRI with the world emoji is about Coney. No, that's not. It's about GeoSeal. We spoke about this already we spoke about it already in the live with Rory here. I'll repost it in the Discord community. I've already made a post on it myself, but GeoSeal is extremely big. And when you pair that with information that I just spoke about with Dow Jones, it is really big. Let me find that Dow Jones one again. Again, GeoSeal is a proof of place, proof of existence. And Dow Jones are talking about that markets demand proof. Where is it? There. Winning companies will be able to pass the stress test for sustainability, regulatory compliance, and financial strength. And markets demand proof. We're not seeing hype anymore. Proof. Evidence. Demonstration that crypto serves real economic needs. Its accountability is proof. That's what GeoSeal is. Proof of place, proof of existence. It's huge and it's live right here, right now. It's massive. There's so much that can be done with it. And it's built on Casper. And there's more going to be coming out. Elon has to be buying Casper. I'd like to believe so. But who knows? Casper's 9% down from all-time highs. Not different from fully VC coins. But yeah, okay. But this is once more where the argument about Casper, is it going to survive, is a price one. And while the price is relevant, of course, Casper is still building. And yes, Casper's down a lot from all-time highs. I don't think it's about 85% or so now. Yeah, 85% from all-time highs. It came down almost 90. And it's going to probably come down more than 90. But at the same time, many other projects have come down as much and returned more. And Casper is building the exact blueprint that institutions are demanding and talking about. What they want to see. Data centers, DRI with Casper. Proof and evidence, GeoSeal with KRI. Bridging regulatory hurdles, that's Casper being decentralized as it is, but also a Warp Core as well. And then ZKPs, also being a key element that where is it? ZKPs here, which Casper's building as well. As you just saw, the devs are building that right now. It's going to be coming out. It's going to be elements of that coming out on Sunday. So what Casper's building is exactly what institutions are right now demanding, what they are really wanting for the space. And not a lot of projects right now can provide that in the manner they want to have. So this is a price element. We'll see it come down more so, but I still wholeheartedly believe that the price will come back. When the market starts to return and Casper has built the stuff on, you've got Igra Labs up and running with more projects. You've got Cashback up and running more so with more developments and more partnerships and more projects. They've got Circle. It's official now, actually. Where can I quickly go to it? If I type in circle, yeah, Caspador posted this in response to somebody. What's on Cashbacks right now? Anchor, Bits Lab, Chainlink, DagScan, Crypto API, Circle. Circle is officially on Casplex. So you've got people who are working alongside Casplex. Casper is price is down, but so is everything. Everything's down, and most projects right now are down even more than Casper right now. But when it comes to building and what Casper has connected to it, it's still growing. So I'm not worried about the price, personally. What's in the sandbox now? You think this could be increased customer market time if it goes live? Right now, the sandbox is Warp Core. Warp Core is currently in a sandbox environment. This. Today, we're launching Warp Core Phase 1 in a sandbox environment for financial institutions. It basically means that banks can utilize Casper's 10 BPS finality and architecture while staying compliant with local laws, which is huge. Again, if you want to learn more about Warp Core, I highly recommend spending almost 3 hours. Or even actually, there's a video I made on my channel. I went through some of the clips here as well. I don't think I went through about Warp Core, actually. No, this is not about Warp Core, actually. But either listen to this video here or watch this 3 hour live. You could probably put it in 1.5 times because Roy does speak a little slow, and therefore speed up for him, but it makes it very, very clear either way. And Roy explains Warp Core, Geostill, and everything else there as well, and gives you an understanding of what's being built on Casper right now. Yeah, you need to stop missing them, honestly, Cryptony. They're every single Tuesday at 9 PM UK time. There's going to be another one this Tuesday as well, so stay tuned for that. I hope to see you there, my man. I really do. You know that announcement down, you need... Yeah, but Solana did the same thing. It's not the first time you've seen crypto come down this much, and pretty much every single time a lot of them have recovered. So it's a tall task. I won't disagree with you. But I am under the impression and the belief that it can recover. I believe it can do, because it has it is, when it comes to technology, it is the best in this space. And no, there is an argument about technology not being the best thing, but it's not everything. But I think it's enough, especially what's being built. Institutions right now haven't met the requirements of what they need right now for crypto. Casper's the only one right now that just fits that agenda from what I've read through. But of course, we'll talk about them more so when the time comes. All we can do right now is just predict what's going to happen based on information we have in front of us. And I can provide all this documentation here. It's up for you to do your own research and make your own interpretation from it as well. My interpretation from what I've read is that Casper's fine. And I'll continue to say it. I'm not selling any Casper. I'm going to sell a lot of my other stuff probably after this rebound. And then I'll buy the dips based on the assets I'm looking into. If you want to find out what assets I'm looking into, once again, check out the VIP. Links are down below in the description. Join now, get 7-day free access, or tune to BYDFI. Sign up through that. Follow the steps in the free Discord server and get a 1-month free access to the VIP as well. I don't think it'll take a few cycles. I don't. Of course, people will be sad if they bought near the top. That's kind of just how the markets go, right? No one predicted that 20 cents Casper was going to be the top. But we know that it's the top now. And we've seen for Casper, a year and a half pullback. Everything has been coming back for a whole year. The cycle will return. We've seen a over a year correction in altcoins. Bitcoin's had about 4 months. So we'll have to see how much longer it goes for. But new buyers will make money on old buyers from 2023 if they sell. Yes. If they sell, yes. If they don't sell, then no. But as you're just seeing here right now, no one is selling, seemingly. You might see that change tomorrow, but right now, a lot of people right now aren't selling, so they're not making money off them. But anyway, that being said, that's me for today. I'll see you all tomorrow, earlier than usual. I'll make sure to make an announcement later today. Have a great day. Good evening.